Laughing already. To be back at Emmerdale this time feels amazing. It really does, for so many different reasons. Obviously, when the phone call came to see if I wanted to come back to the show, it was perfect timing, considering that I knew I had another little baby on the way. It's always been a huge part of my life as Emmerdale. I've always watched it as a fan and as a viewer, and participated in the show, and I continued to watch it whilst I was out the show, and now coming back into it with so many new faces in the cast and crew. It just feels like nothing's changed. I've just been welcomed back with open arms, and it's made me love it even more.
Nothing happened anyway, so...
Good. I'm glad that's cleared up. I just want you to be happy.
Yeah, I keep hearing that a lot lately.
So as the viewers will have seen, Aaron's returning episode was revealed at Wylie's farm, and it was with Kane and Caleb, which was really nice for me because I've been watching the show, as I say, whilst they've been away, and watching them two sort of grow into this relationship is sort of interesting because you have that 6-week, 7-week gap between what you were seeing on screen and what I was doing, so I've not kind of seen in between what's going on, and the relationship just started to grow, and then suddenly they're sort of the best of mates, band of brothers type thing, which was really nice to be able to be a part of and work with Jeff in particular. I mean, I've known Will Ash for many, many years, and we always used to call him the nicest guy in the business, which I'm sure everyone will agree with because he really is. And Jeff, obviously, you know, I learned so much from him as a kid and looked up to him and still do, and it was so nice to just sort of slip back into that Kane and Aaron sort of love-hate, hate-love relationship, which I'm sure the viewers are going to get a lot more familiar with over the next few months, which is really interesting for me because Kane is such a monumental part of the show that for me, it's a pleasure to be playing opposite him. So yeah, the viewers will have seen all that kind of stuff in Wylie's farm, and I think it's, you know, onwards from there gets sort of more and more interesting. And the storyline itself was nice and gritty, and obviously it's the big sort of week in October that Emmerdale have putting out some much more amazing episodes. Of course, all the episodes are amazing anyway, but in particular these are focused sort of on how good soap can be and is.
You?
So the interesting thing about playing Aaron this time round is that he's no messing around. He's kind of that sort of bad boy-ish type, sort of angry villain, if you like, however you'd want to sort of word that, I guess. But this time is obviously a lot different because I've always been used to be very huggy and touchy with Lucy, and who plays Chaz, and Chaz this time is the reason that Aaron's had to come back because he's so angry. Because we saw last year during the big October week where Liv died, that a lot of the reason why he went was because Chaz had this affair on Paddy, who has always been, in Aaron's eyes, his dad. It was always going to be a bit of a rocky start for them, and I don't think by any means they're anywhere near how they used to be. So I think it'll be interesting going forward to see how they play that relationship, because it's not all laughs and cuddles anymore, unfortunately, for me and Lucy. So the difference between playing Aaron when I was 17 to now, at the moment, there isn't a lot of difference. You know, I think the catalyst was always Chaz. And, you know, from 17 when he first turned up, he was angry because Chaz left him. And then we went on to learn why he was so angry that Chaz left him. And it was interesting because I was talking to Dominic Brunt, who plays Paddy, about it not so long ago, and sort of saying, you know, how much Aaron's actually been through from that age of 17, you know, coming in and finding that his mum had left him alone with his dad, and Gordon had abused him for so many years, and that was why he was so angry, going on to sort of having relationships with Victoria and various other girls and not really getting anywhere and wondering why. And then we found out that it was because actually he was gay, and he had the sort of coming out episode with Paddy, which was huge, and it still gets talked about to me personally now. You know, and it was a huge thing for the show, for soap in general. There was at that time a stereotype of what a gay man might look like, whereas we always wanted to stay away from that stereotype and just say he just happens to be gay and that's his sexuality. And that was what was such a groundbreaking moment for me as an actor, and also me personally, as well as the show.
Maybe he feels the same way.
Well, he doesn't. And I shouldn't. I knew what I was getting into. I knew there was someone else. I knew.
Well, things change. People's feelings change. Yours have. Maybe his have too.
For me personally, as Danny, you know, I came into the show as a 17-year-old inexperienced young lad who had 2 jobs before Emmerdale, and I didn't really know much about this business. I didn't know what a mark was. I didn't know, you know, what 2 cameras are on it. I always thought there was one. There was so much that I was inexperienced about. Never went to drama school or anything like that, and I was always asked that question where I'd studied and stuff, and the answer was I studied here at Emmerdale. I was just blessed much more than I think any cast member maybe that has touched Emmerdale's surface, that I had Dominic Brunt, Jeff Orley, Lucy Parger, and many more as well that taught me the trade of the business here, and this was my drama school. It just makes the job so much more enjoyable, and I don't think at this moment I've ever been as happy as I am in my life now, and I hope that shows to everybody else that, you know, it's as I say, it's not just a job, it's more than that for me now. So I'm very, very grateful.
Kane, don't shut that door. Kane! 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 Boy, you better talk some sense into him and fast! If you don't let me out of here, I'm gonna lose it! Moira!
Is Aaron here to stay? Well, I certainly hope so this time. The amazing thing about soap is you never know what's around the corner. You never know how soon that is or how far away that is. I'm certainly hoping that there's plenty more to come in the coming years, and I can blag it for as long as I can without getting pulled out of the studio by security. So time will tell.